Elara Rowan had always known there was something unusual about the forest behind her grandmother's cottage. She could hear the trees whisper. Not in full words, not at first, but in movements, in breaths, in sighs that rustled through the branches as though someone hidden inside them were trying to speak. When the wind curled through the valley, carrying the scent of pine and dew, she heard more than a rustle, she heard meaning. Elara. Her name, drawn out like a melody sung by nature itself. She grew up learning to ignore it. The forest talks to everyone, her grandmother used to say, though she never explained how, or why, or what it meant. When Elara would ask, the old woman would simply tap her cane and say, "Some doors stay closed until the right moment." That moment arrived on the night of the winter crescent, a rare silver moon that appeared only once every 20 years. It was the same night her grandmother passed away. The cottage windows glowed with candlelight, flickering against the frost, as Elara sat at the old woman's bedside holding her frail hand. She was 17, not a child, but not yet strong enough to be the woman she had to become after this night. Her grandmother's cloudy eyes fixed on her one last time. "Listen to the trees," she whispered. "They know the way." And then she was gone. Tears blurred Elara's vision as she pressed her forehead against her grandmother's hand. Outside, the silver crescent moon shone directly through the window, piercing the darkness with a strange luminescence that cast the world in white-blue shadows. Elara. This time, the whisper was clear. Too clear. She lifted her head sharply. "Elara, come to us." The voice came from the woods, unmistakably. Compelled by something ancient and irresistible, she wrapped her cloak around herself and stepped outside into the bitter cold. Frost crunched under her boots as she approached the edge of the forest. The trees shimmered. Each silver-coated pine glowed faintly under the moonlight, as though dusted not with snow, but with starlight. The air vibrated with a low hum, sinking into her bones. "Elara, find the door." "What door?" she breathed. The forest answered by glowing brighter. Something was waiting for her. Something her grandmother had kept hidden. She took a step into the silver pines. And everything changed. The moment Elara crossed the tree line, the world shifted. She felt it like a soft ripple through her skin, a wave of warm energy moving from her toes to the top of her head. The air smelled richer, like honey, moss, and moonlight. Moonlight shouldn't have a smell. But here it did. The path ahead was lined with pine trees whose needles gleamed silver like delicate shards of crystal. The trunks were smooth as polished marble, etched with faint glowing runes. Elara brushed her fingertips against one. A pulse of light traveled up the trunk. "Elara Rowan." The forest breathed. "How do you know my name?" she whispered, stepping back. "Because she told us," a soft voice answered. Elara whirled around. A small figure, no taller than her shoulder, stood on a branch high above. Its body was slender, with limbs like living vines woven into the shape of a boy. Blue firefly-like lights floated around him. Elara gasped. "Are you alive?" The vine boy laughed. "Most things in these woods are. Including things you don't want to meet." He leaped from the branch, landing lightly before her. "I am Lorian, a forest keeper. And you're late." "For what?" "For your destiny." Elara blinked. "There must be a mistake. I'm nobody. My grandmother just." Her voice cracked, pain rising in her throat. Lorian's expression softened. "Your grandmother was the guardian of the door. When she died, the door awakened. And now it calls for you. I still don't understand." "You will," he said gently, "when you see it." He motioned for her to follow. Reluctantly, she stepped behind him, her heart thundering in her chest. They walked deeper and deeper into the silver pines, where the trees grew so tall they seemed to stitch the sky. The further they went, the warmer the air grew, until Frost vanished entirely. Finally, they stopped before a clearing. At the center stood a massive pine tree, far larger than any other. Its trunk was wide enough to hide an entire house behind it. Silver veins pulsed under its bark, illuminating the clearing with a soft glow. Carved into the trunk was a door. Tall, arched, ancient, and glowing faintly with a silver-blue light that seemed to be alive. Elara's breath halted. "What is it?" she whispered. "The door between worlds," Lorian said. "The heart of our realm. It only opens for the guardian. But my grandmother was the guardian. And now you are." Elara shook her head. "No, no, I can't. I didn't ask for this." Destiny rarely waits for permission. Before she could speak again, the ground trembled. The door shuddered. A line of light split through its center. Slowly, slowly, it began to open. A cold gust of wind burst forth, swirling around her, carrying whispers, thousands of voices speaking at once. "Elara, come. Help us. Save the kingdom." Lorian's eyes widened. "It's beginning." The silver light expanded, swallowing the clearing. "Elara, step through," he shouted. "What's on the other side?" she cried. "A broken kingdom," he said. "And only you can fix it." The light intensified, pulling her forward with irresistible force. She stumbled, fell, and crossed the threshold. Elara landed on soft grass, warm, green, and glowing faintly in the dim light. She pushed herself up and gasped. She was standing on the edge of a vast valley, and it shimmered like a dream. Floating islands drifted lazily in the sky, each holding waterfalls that poured downward into thin air before dissolving into mist. Silver pine forests stretched as far as the eye could see, their needles glittering like frost under golden sunlight. At the valley's center rose a magnificent city made of crystal and stone, towers spiraling into the sky, bridges connecting buildings that seemed carved from pure moonlight. It was the most beautiful place she had ever seen. But something was wrong. The city was cracked. Pieces of towers hung frozen midair as though held together by invisible threads. Dark veins of shadow spread through the crystalline structures like rot creeping through a tree. The ground trembled. "Elara." She spun around. A woman stood behind her, tall, ethereal, with silver hair cascading like starlight down her back. Her skin glowed faintly, and her eyes were a shade of violet that did not exist in the human world. Elara's breath caught. "Who are you?" "I am Seraphine," the woman said. "Queen of the kingdom beyond the silver pines." Elara swallowed. "What happened here?" "Everything." Seraphine's voice trembled like a blade. "Our kingdom was split in two. Light and darkness tearing each other apart. And your grandmother, the guardian, was the only one who kept the door sealed, preventing the Shadow King from crossing into your world." Elara's chest tightened. "You mean she protected both worlds, alone? She paid a heavy price." Seraphine lowered her gaze. "But now her power has passed to you." Elara backed away. "I don't know how to help. I don't have magic. I'm just," her voice cracked. "Just me." "You have more power than you know," Seraphine said softly. "And more enemies than you realize." A low growl echoed across the valley. Elara froze. Dark shapes slithered out from the shattered parts of the city, black creatures with glowing white eyes, made of smoke and nightmares. "The shadows," Seraphine whispered. "He knows you're here." "Who?" "The Shadow King." The creatures lunged. Seraphine raised her hand, a blast of white light erupted, striking the shadows and dissolving them into wisps of smoke. "We must get to the palace," she said. "Before the darkness gathers again." She grabbed Elara's hand. And the world blurred. They appeared inside a grand hall made of silver marble. Tall pillars rose to a vaulted ceiling carved with constellations. Fractures streaked through the floor and walls, glowing faintly with dark energy. The throne room, Seraphine said. A broken throne stood at the hall's center, cracked, missing pieces, surrounded by floating shards suspended in the air like fragments of time. Seraphine approached it, her expression hollow. The Shadow King shattered it. Why? Elara whispered. To break the heart of the kingdom. As the throne weakens, so do we. Elara shivered. What does he want? Seraphine turned to her. You. Elara's blood ran cold. Me? Why? Because only the Guardian can repair the throne and seal the door. And if he corrupts you, both our worlds fall. Elara shook her head. I don't know how to do anything. I'm not a guardian, I'm not magical, A sudden sharp pain pierced her chest. She gasped, clutching at her heart. Silver light burst from her skin, glowing lines tracing along her arms, swirling around her like living ribbons. Seraphine's eyes widened. It has awakened. What has? Your grandmother's power. The Guardian's mark. Elara fell to her knees as visions flashed behind her eyes, her grandmother young and fierce, standing before the very door Elara had just crossed, Seraphine battling a monstrous shadow, a dark throne dripping with cold magic, a man with silver eyes twisted by darkness. And a crown of shadow settling upon his head. Elara choked. I saw him. Seraphine's face hardened. The Shadow King. Once my brother. Now my greatest enemy. Elara, a voice whispered behind her. Her blood turned to ice. She turned slowly. A tall figure stood at the hall's entrance, draped in black, his body half shadow, half flesh. His eyes glowed silver like hers. Hello, Guardian, he said softly. I've been waiting for you. Seraphine stepped in front of Elara, summoning a shield of blinding white light. Stay behind me. The Shadow King laughed, a cold, echoing sound that scraped against Elara's spine like claws. Sister, always playing protector. But the Guardian belongs to me. She will never join you, Seraphine hissed. Elara swallowed, trembling. The Shadow King's gaze fixed on her, unblinking, piercing, terrifying. You feel it, don't you? He whispered. The pull of the door. The echo of power inside you. You are not ordinary, Elara Rowan. You don't know anything about me. Oh, but I do. His smile twisted into something cruel. Your grandmother was strong, but even she feared me. You, however, you are new. Untrained. Vulnerable. Seraphine tightened her grip on Elara's arm. Don't listen to him. But Elara couldn't look away. His eyes held her like magnets, dark and intoxicating. You can restore the throne, he said. But if you do, you seal your own fate. What do you mean? Once the throne is repaired, the Guardian must take her place as its heart. Binding her life to the kingdoms. You would never return home. Elara froze. I would be, trapped here. A sacrifice, the Shadow King said. One your grandmother accepted. And one you must reject. Seraphine's voice shook. He lies. Do I? He murmured. Elara's heart pounded. She wanted to run. She wanted to scream. She wanted to wake up from this impossible nightmare. The Shadow King extended his hand, cold smoke swirling around his fingers. Come with me, Elara. I can free you from the throne. Free you from destiny. Elara, don't. Seraphine pleaded. But a piece of Elara, a small, trembling part, wondered. What if he's right? Chapter 6, The Shattered Heart. The Shadow King advanced. Seraphine raised her hand, unleashing a blast of light. Darkness and light collided, shaking the throne room. Marble cracked. Pillars shattered. The ceiling groaned. Elara, run! But shadows shot across the floor, grabbing Elara's ankles. She screamed as cold tendrils crawled up her legs. Let her go! Seraphine roared. Light exploded from her body, slicing through the shadows, freeing Elara. The Shadow King growled, recoiling. This isn't over, he hissed, vanishing into black mist. Silence fell. Elara collapsed to the floor, shaking from head to toe. Seraphine knelt beside her. Are you hurt? No, Elara whispered. Just scared. Seraphine placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to stand despite it. Elara closed her eyes. What do I have to do? Seraphine's expression softened. Restore the throne. Heal the heart of the kingdom. You are the guardian, and only you can. Elara exhaled shakily. Show me how. Chapter 7, The Right of the Guardian. Seraphine led her deep into the palace. Into a small chamber lined with silver roots winding up the walls like living veins. At the center stood a pedestal made of pure crystal. Upon it lay a glowing heart-shaped gem, cracked, pulsing faintly with light. The Heartstone, Seraphine whispered. The life of our kingdom. The throne shattered when it did. And I have to fix it. Not alone. Seraphine placed her hand beside Elara's. Let your power flow, she said softly. Do not fight it. Elara closed her eyes. The silver light inside her surged forward, warm, bright, alive. Her grandmother's voice echoed within her. You were always meant for more, Elara. The Heartstone pulsed. Cracks glowed. Light filled the chamber. The ground trembled. Seraphine gasped. You're doing it. Elara poured everything inside her into the crystal, her fear, her grief, her longing, her hope. The Heartstone exploded with light. The throne room repaired itself, cracks sealing, pillars rising, crystals rejoining in shimmering waves. The kingdom outside brightened. Dark veins fading, towers glowing, floating islands returning to their rightful places. Life breathed again. Seraphine stared at Elara in awe. You've done it. Elara smiled weakly. But then a cold wind swept through the hall. The Shadow King appeared, furious, unstable, his shadow form cracking. No, he roared. It cannot be undone. He lunged. Elara lifted her hand instinctively, a barrier of silver light erupted, throwing him backward. He writhed on the floor. Shadows peeling from his body. Elara, he gasped. Help me. Seraphine stepped forward, ready to strike. But Elara held up her hand. No, she approached him slowly. He wasn't always a monster. Seraphine's eyes widened, but she did not stop her. Elara touched the Shadow King's forehead. Light surged. Pain screamed across her skin, cold and fire all at once, as she felt his darkness fighting her. But she held on. You're not alone, she whispered. The Shadow King screamed. Light burst from him, shattering the shadows like glass. When the glow faded, a man lay on the floor, pale, trembling, no longer twisted by darkness. Seraphine gasped. Orlan, my brother. Elara collapsed, she awoke in a soft bed, moonlight streaming through a crystal window. Seraphine sat beside her. You saved us, she whispered. You saved everyone. Elara blinked. Is the kingdom healed? Yes. Seraphine smiled. It is whole again. And your brother? Resting. Free of the shadows. Elara exhaled in relief. Then. I can go home. Seraphine hesitated. Elara, You restored the throne and healed the Heartstone. But the Guardian's place is here, in this kingdom. Without you, the door will fall open again. Elara's heart clenched. You mean? I can't leave. You may choose, Seraphine said quietly. But if you go, you take our last hope with you. Elara buried her face in her hands. Her cottage. Her world. Her grandmother. She wanted to go home. But she also wanted to protect this world. A world she had brought back to life. Elara. She looked up. Seraphine squeezed her hand. A guardian's heart is the bridge between worlds. You do not have to stay here forever. But your destiny is tied to both realms. What should I do? Elara whispered. Seraphine smiled softly. What your heart tells you. Elara stared out the window, at the restored kingdom glowing beneath the silver dawn. She took a deep breath. Then she stood. Elara walked to the balcony overlooking the valley. Her heart was steady. Her fear was gone. Seraphine joined her. Have you decided? Elara nodded. I will be guardian. For this world, and mine. Seraphine's smile grew radiant. Then the kingdom has hope again. A gentle breeze lifted Elara's hair. The trees whispered her name. Elara. Guardian. Protector. She closed her eyes, feeling the silver light inside her pulse in harmony with the world around her. A new dawn rose, bright, shimmering, full of promise. Elara Rowan. Once an ordinary girl, was now the guardian of the door between worlds. And her story had only just begun.